Greetings, travelers. I'm Enra Silver, and welcome to GlitchSlapped by Enra, episode 46. A few weeks ago, I dropped episode 43, which was a basic guide to glitch building in 2023. I'll link it on screen now. Go check it out if you haven't seen it. That episode will give you a good overview of all the glitch techniques currently available to builders in No Man's Sky. Today's episode will be a deep dive into one of the glitch techniques shown, the Universal Adjacency Glitch, or UAG, from here on out. This is by far the glitch I use the most. Its ubiquitous utility cannot be understated. Now you might be asking yourself, I can already wire glitch an adjacency glitch. Why do I even need to worry about knowing the UAG? Simple. The UAG will allow you to get pieces placed at angles and in places that wire glitching either can't or would have trouble. The opposite is also true. There are definitely places where wire glitching will be easier. That's the thing with glitch building. Knowing any one of the glitches will allow you to do lots of new things. But by knowing all the glitches, you can pick the one that will accomplish the job in the easiest way. Glitch smarter, not harder, my friends. Let's start by going over a few terms I use so that there's no confusion later. Your active piece is the piece in the menu you currently have selected. Green stated means there's a green outline of the active piece on the screen. Green stated pieces can and will be placed exactly where shown if you just tap the build button. Red stated means there's a red outline of your active piece on the screen. Red stated means the piece cannot be placed where it's currently located. For clues as to why the piece is red stated, look just below the build menu on screen. Text will pop up here telling you why the piece is red stated. The bait piece is the one that is green stated on screen until the exact moment you press the buttons for the glitch. The switch piece is the one that actually gets placed down when you do the glitch. In episode 45, I covered the wire glitch. In this episode, I demonstrated what I like to think of as the wire cache. When you drop out of wire menu, the piece that you had active will still be your active piece. This is because the game remembers what your active piece was. I think of the place this information is stored as the wire cache. I call putting information in the wire cache storing the piece in the wire cache. Finally, this is a snap point. Looks a lot like a connection point, right? There's no lightning bolt in the center, but the orientation of the circle will tell you how the switch piece will orient. This is especially important when using the UAG, and your bait piece and switch piece orient differently on connection points, using a floor as a bait and a wall as a switch, for example. That will do it for nomenclature. Let's get to glitching. Let's start off by going over the Reverse Adjacency Glitch. To do this glitch, pick your switch piece out of the menu and then press wire menu and cycle part at the same time. On PS, this is triangle and L1. I'll put the buttons for Xbox and PC on screen now. This will leave you with the piece to the left of your switch piece in the menu as your active piece. This is now your bait piece. Green state your bait piece where you'd like, and press the wire menu and build buttons at the same time. On PS, this is triangle and R2. I'll put the buttons for Xbox and PC on screen now. If performed correctly, this will bring in your bait piece centered where the switch piece was located. Now, I've included this in this episode because it is very similar to the UAG. In fact, the Reverse Adjacency Glitch itself is pretty much obsolete, since the UAG can literally do everything the Reverse Adjacency can do. I myself only use Reverse Adjacency for one specific glitch, the light floor to light box switch. Let's talk about why. Both glitches require storing the light box in your wire cache, but the secondary buttons is what makes the difference. For Reverse Adjacency, the secondary button is L1, so when you hit triangle and L1, you are storing the active piece in your wire cache, while also switching your active piece to the next one in the menu. So now you have a piece stored in your wire cache, but you also have an active piece still. When you green state that active piece somewhere and press triangle and R2 just like you would for the wire glitch, the piece that is in your wire cache is what gets placed. Since you have an active piece instead of a wire tip, the switch piece itself is what affects the orientation and location of the bait piece. Now when doing a UAG, you press wire and edit menu buttons at the same time to store the piece in your cache. When done right, you'll end up with a piece stored in your wire cache, but in build menu, not in the wire menu. If you end up in the wire menu, your timing was slightly off. Once in the edit menu, you can copy any piece as your switch piece, green stated anywhere, and press build and wire menu buttons to glitch in the bait piece. On PS controllers, I find the button sequence for Reverse Adjacency to be easier than the button sequence for Universal Adjacency. Since I'm a big fan of multi-sided light boxes, I find it easier to use Reverse Adjacency since I don't have to move my cursor over and copy a piece each time. It's all about preference and comfort level. Go with whatever works best and makes the most sense to you. And now for the star of the show, the UAG. I just went over the button sequence for UAG, so no need to rehash it. So what's happening exactly? By pressing both the edit and wire menu buttons, you store the piece in your wire cache, but end up in the edit menu. Once you're in the edit menu, you can copy anything as your bait piece. And when you hit the buttons to wire glitch, you get whatever is in your wire cache placed, except it comes in centered where the copied bait piece was. If the bait piece has been sized, the switch piece will also come in sized to the same degree, even if it normally cannot be sized. Unlike the normal adjacency glitch, the bait piece for the UAG does not need to be green stated. You could store red stated items in your wire cache just as easily as green stated. Like I mentioned before, if you end up in wire menu with a wire tip as your active piece instead of an edit menu, your timing on the button presses is off. You're hitting the wire menu button too late. Once in the edit menu, you can take any of the actions available in the menu. As long as you don't leave the menu, the stored piece will remain in your cache. Now, having something in your cache does prevent you from doing certain things. With something stored in your cache, you are unable to size anything. That means that while UAG will carry over size, the bait piece has to be sized before you copy it. Now, another wrinkle that's specific to PS controllers is that while something is stored in your wire cache, the vibrate function won't work. This makes it easy to tell if you hit your glitch right. Whenever you build normally, placing a piece causes a slight controller vibration. If you were successful with the first part of your UAG, building something while in edit menu won't give you the vibration since you've got something stored in your wire cache. You can also delete anything you'd like as long as you do it before copying your bait piece. Once the bait piece is copied, the menu changes and backing up will empty the wire cache. Now let's take a closer look at the orientation of your switch piece in relationship to your bait piece. Let's start with a raised paver as our bait piece. Next, I'll store an alloy wall cap in my wire cache and copy the paver. Now watch the snap point centered on the paver. If it's parallel to the floor, the cap will glitch in like so. If it's perpendicular to the floor, the cap will glitch in differently. We run into problems when trying to glitch in the reciprocal wall caps. The snap point is parallel to the floor again, but watch how the cap comes in, on a reciprocal angle. When wire glitching, we can know ahead of time which reciprocal the cap will glitch in on, by knowing the polarity, but snap points have no such indicator. If we use the raised paver as an example, there's no indication on the piece itself, so you just gotta guess which way of two ways you'll get. This is why selection of your bait piece is very important. I love using light floors as bait pieces, since by paying attention to the line on top of the panel, you'll know exactly which way the wall cap will glitch in. It's not always feasible to use light panels as your bait piece though. The big upside to UAG is to get normally unsnappable pieces into geometrically perfect arrangements that you can normally only get snappable pieces into. But in order to do this, you need to use the snappable pieces as your bait. Sometimes it's walls, other times floors, and so on. So here are a few pieces that I think make great bait pieces. Short walls are a bait piece I use very regularly. And if I'm using UAG on a short wall, I always pick alloy short wall B. If we look real close at the wall, you'll notice that one side has 3 wires, while the other side has 4. So if I UAG from the short wall with the 4 wires on the right, repeating the UAG with the 4 wires on the left will give me the reciprocal. Now if I've got to use small walls as my bait piece, I'll use short stone wall A. Notice it has the inset grate. UAG with the grate pointed downward, followed by UAG with the grate pointed up, will give you reciprocal wall caps. For full floor bait pieces, I use the stone floors. The stone floors have a non-uniform pattern on them, so you can tell which way they are oriented. Now, let's talk about how to anticipate orientation of pieces when they glitch in. Basically, pieces orient through UAG exactly like they would if you wire glitch them. You just need to think about things a bit differently. The circle on the connection point and the circle on the snap point serve the exact same purpose. They tell you how the piece will orient in relationship to the planet's surface. As far as orientation in relationship to the point itself, the lightning bolt will tell you this when wire glitching, but with UAG, it's the bait piece itself that will give you this information. For example, let's look at SRTs. Here's a connection point with both positive and negative polarity. If we glitch an SRT onto the point with both orientations, see how they come in mirrored. Now let's look at a UAG with the light panel as the bait piece. When you UAG from the light panel, the SRT comes in with the upright backbone on the same side as the line. If you then repeat the UAG with the line on the opposite side, the SRT comes in with its backbone again mirrored. Now the nice thing about UAG is that you can keep going, and by simply rotating the light floor so the line is on each of the 4 sides, you can get an SRT facing all 4 directions. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning, which glitch you use will vary on what you're trying to accomplish. With the SRT example, it's possible to set up a 4-way glitch point. I showed how to do it in the wire glitch deep dive. In this case, UAG was easier, but if there was tight confines that made it hard to see the orientation of your bait piece, setting up a 4-way glitch point with wires might be the better choice. And that's going to do it for episode 46 of GlitchSlapped by Enra. I really appreciate you sticking around to the end of things. Hopefully you found something useful, or were at least entertained. Please like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps. Next up will be a deep dive into the newest glitch, the cash pit. I'm Enra Silver, and I'll see you around the verse.